A dogfight between Saab Gripen and the Chinese J-11 fighter jet scheme provides lessons to militaries around the world on how to get the better of Chinese warplanes. Details of the exercise Falcon Strike 2015, held at Korat Royal Thai Air Force Base for 2 weeks in mid-November 2015, the first ever joint exercise between the Chinese and Thai Air Forces, were revealed in 2019. While the Chinese PLA Air Force, PLAAF, brought J-11 to the war game, the Thai Air Force deployed Swedish Saab JAS-39C/D Gripens, though it also operates the American F-16s. What astounded the military experts is that a 25-year-old fighter overpowered the relatively younger Chinese J-11 aircraft, especially during the Beyond Visual Range (BVR) engagements. This humiliating defeat by the Gripens exposed the reality of China's air warfare capabilities, with experts commenting on J-11s not having a chance against the much advanced Rafales that the Indian Air Force is operating. Gripen vs J-11. The Saab JAS-39 Gripen is a Swedish fourth-generation single-engine multi-role fighter jet that took its first flight in 1988 and entered service in 1996. With a speed of Mach 2, the Gripens have been sold to 6 nations across Central Europe, South Africa, and Southeast Asia. The CD model that the Thailand Air Force operates is a NATO-compatible version with extended capabilities in terms of armament, electronics, etc., which can be also refueled in flight. On the other hand, China's J-11 fighter is based on the Soviet-designed Sukhoi Su-27. The J-11 is a twin-engine jet that took its first flight in 1998. With its multiple variants and upgrades like the Missile Approach Warning System, MAWS, the improved cockpit displays, and fire control systems for R-77 or PL-10 missiles, the J-11s have become a significant part of the Chinese Air Force, with more than 400 in service while the Navy operates around 70 of the fighters. The Eurasian Times earlier reported how China is continuing research and development of the J-11 fighter, which might affect the future of its J-10 aircraft. Saab Gripens destroy Chinese J-11s. Across 7 days of the exercise, the Chinese jets gave a subpar performance, leading many analysts to cast doubts over China's aerial capabilities. During the first 2 days of the war game, the powerful J-11s shot down 16 Gripens in a visual range battle with no loss. Reports suggest that the Thai Gripen was armed with the IM-9 infrared-guided missiles and an internal cannon for close-range combat, while the J-11s were armed with infrared-guided short-range missiles, the PLAAFs. However, on the following days, as the game shifted to beyond visual range engagements, the Gripen armed with the IM-120 medium-range missiles proved to be a far better fighter than the J-11 with its own medium-range missiles, possibly PL-12s. The Gripens shot down a total of 41 Chinese J-11s at a loss of 6 fighters. The final tally after the completion of 7 days stood in favor of the Swedish fighters, as it shot down 42 J-11s at a loss of 34 only. Interestingly, military analysts observed that Gripens outperformed the J-11s in terms of the range, given how 88% of the Thai kills occurred at a range of at least 19 miles, while the Chinese scored just 14% of their kills at the same range. The Gripens also scored 10 kills at a distance of more than 31 miles, where the J-11 scored no kills. The aviation website Alert 5 noted how the Chinese pilots had poor situational awareness. Too much focus was on the front of the aircraft rather than all around. In phases of the war game where J-11s escorted other planes, there was a lack of coordination, the website said. Chinese pilots were not experienced in avoiding missile shots, their responses were too mechanical, and they could not judge correctly the evasive techniques for missiles with different ranges, Alert 5 added. India Rafales. The struggle of Chinese jets against the fourth-generation Gripen has thrilled Indian military analysts, given the Indian Air Force now hosts 2 squadrons of the 4.5-generation French-made Rafales. Amid the ongoing standoff between India and China at the Line of Actual Control, LAC, in eastern Ladakh, experts have started speculating how Indian Rafales will fare against the Chinese aircraft, especially with their 5th-generation J-20 Apache helicopters, Longbow awarded contract to supply FCRs for latest AH-64 helicopters. The Rafales are combat-proven multi-role aircraft that have been used by the French Air Force for its missions in the Middle East, while the J-20 has not been deployed in any conflict zones as yet. With a capacity of carrying 6 ASM missiles, the Rafales outflanked the J-20 in terms of weapons, fuel, and combat experience. The Eurasian Times earlier published a report in which former YAF pilot Vijender K. Thakur compared the stealthy J-20 to Indian Rafales, in case of potential aerial combat. The stealth advantage of the J-20 would give it a first shoot advantage in BVR combat over all Indian fighters except for the Rafale, he said. However, he added that against the Rafale, which is equipped with low-Rs, Spectre self-protection suite with RF cloaking, and Meteor 150 km BVR missile, J-20 will find it extremely hard to defeat the fighter.